And I had real bad rheumatoid arthritis in my hip, and I just had a hip replacement. I said, oh. He said, well, yeah, I'm recovering now, but next year, next March, which is a few months from now, I'm going to have the other hip done. He said, then in a year or so, I'm going to have my left knee done because it's really bad, and then probably down the road, I'll have to have the other knee done because I've got this arthritis in my lower extremity. Russ, and I said, oh, that's really too bad. As I was getting depressed, I said, Linda, home. He said, I see you on TV every once in a while, and I've heard some of your tapes, and I understand that you run a lot. I said, yes, I run every day. I run 8 miles every day, and I've done that every day since 1976. He said, well, that's a lot of running and a lot of wear and tear on the body. You're a good candidate for hip replacement yourself. And I was really getting depressed with this conversation, wondering why I had even called. I said to him right away, I will never have a hip replacement. He said, you can't just say you'll never have a hip replacement. You can't just come out and say that. You know what I said? Well, I'm coming out and I'm saying it. I will never have a hip replacement. He said, well, you could just get arthritis. I said, Dean, I don't do arthritis. I will never get arthritis. And when he said, you can't just make a statement like that you're just never going to get arthritis. I said, I just won't get arthritis. That's something I won't do in my life. He said, well, it's not possible for you to just, he said, you're just as arrogant as you were 30 years ago. I forgot, you know. And that was sort of the end of the conversation. About a week or two later, I was at a benefit, and a woman, Phyllis, was there. She was talking about her mother, saying that her mother has Alzheimer's disease, and she's got it pretty bad. She feels real bad when she sees her mother going through what she's going through. She said, but the worst part of it is, and Phyllis is my age exactly, she's 59. She said, I've been noticing that I've been forgetting things lately, and I'm very concerned that I'm going to get Alzheimer's myself. I don't know what Harvey would do, you know, my husband and so on. And I said, Asmi, why don't you just say that you're not going to get Alzheimer's? Why not just make that declaration? And she said the same words as Dean. She said, Austin, you can't just come out and say you're not going to get Alzheimer's. You can't just come out and say something like that. I said, why can't you say that? And she said, well, what if I get it? And I said, if you say you won't, then you won't get it. And she said, well, don't you forget things? You know, I said, yeah, I forget things. When she said, well, aren't you concerned that you might get it? I said, absolutely not. I will never have Alzheimer's. She said, you can't just say you'll never have that. It was very disconcerting to her that I would make such a declaration with such certainty. She said, just play a little game with me. What if you do get it? I said, I won't play that game. I don't entertain thoughts like that in my consciousness. It's just not there for me. Well, Bryce, she said, no, just for a minute, just a little pretend game. Assume that 20 years from now I see you and you're 79 years old and you've got Alzheimer's. I say to you, Taryn, so what do you say now? I would say, who are you and why are you annoying me? I don't say that to be belittling or disrespectful towards anybody who is going through hip and knee replacements or Alzheimer's or anything else. What I suggest, and I know this might sound a bit radical, but probably not to this group, is that everything in the universe is energy. It's all energy. And I don't have to really explain that if you were to take this microphone, which appears to be solid, and we were to break it down and examine it at its basic energy level, what we would discover is that it is a dance. There is a vibration in there, and these molecules that are vibrating at a certain speed are vibrating at such a speed that we call it solidity. There are faster and faster levels of vibration available. Even something like sound vibrates at a little higher frequency. Light vibrates at a much higher frequency, sakoyaka. Beyond light, there are X-rays and lasers which vibrate at an even higher frequency. Ultimately, we get to the realm of thought as a vibration, a very, very, very fast vibration, and then spirit. All of this exists at faster and faster vibrational frequencies. Ordinary human awareness, if we just for the sake of discussion, will call this energy vibration. this frequency that all of us in this room are vibrating at so that we can all experience each other with our senses. We'll call it 20,000 cycles per second. So there's this speed that we all share. Our eyes can see it, and we know that when I am speaking up here, I am moving my voice box. There's a thing in my throat called the uvula that is moving up and down. As I throw out these vibrations into the air, you can't see them, but somehow in each one of your ears, there are these tiny fibers in the cochlea of your ear that are vibrating very, very fast. If I speak very high, they go even faster. And if I speak very low, they go slower. You can pick up all of this energy in the room without being able to see it. So I say something up here, and you're picking it up out there, even though you can't physically grasp it. You know that there's energy and vibration going on in this room. Ordinary human awareness, if we call it, let's say 20,000 cycles per second, leads to certain things occurring in our lives. Disease is one of those things. Arthritis, cancer, Alzheimer's, influenza. All of these occur at the physical level of approximately 18,000 to 22,000 cycles per second. It's all happening here in ordinary human awareness. I would like you to imagine, if you will, moving out of that level of frequency from 20,000 cycles per second into something called 80,000 to 100,000 cycles per second. By increasing the rate at which you are experiencing energy in your life, you reach a higher level of awareness, a level of consciousness that is not ordinary at all. At this higher level, different things begin to happen in your life. Your perception changes, your anticipation changes, and you can sense things coming. When you're at 20,000 cycles per second, things may hit you blindsided, but at the higher frequency, you can see them coming. There are people who live at 80,000 cycles per second on a regular basis and do not participate in crime, for example, because they can anticipate it. They have a perceptual awareness that detects danger, allowing them to move away from it. When Father Joseph in Medjugorje was lined up in Croatia to be shot because he wouldn't reveal where the children were, the bullets went right through his body. They saw the bullets in the back of the place where he was standing, with no injuries whatsoever in the front of his body. They later made him a saint. He built the church in Medjugorje, saying, "If you build it, they will come." We just returned from Machu Picchu in Peru, where my wife and I took a group of 75 people. We spent 5 days in Machu Picchu and 10 days in Peru, with 5 of those days up in Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu was not discovered by the West until 1911. It was built thousands of years ago. When the Spanish came through South America and decimated the native populations, they never found Machu Picchu. It was discovered by accident on a mountain peak in Peru. Somehow they had built a whole sacred city with boulders weighing over 50 tons. How they could possibly have ever gotten them up the mountains 2,000 or 3,000 years ago is a mystery to everybody alive today. We still can't even fathom it. We can only get there now through airplanes, special trains, and buses. These were peasants building a whole city, a sacred place. When I tell you that walking around Machu Picchu for those 2 or 3 or 4 days, when I wasn't obliged to do other things, I had the greatest sense of well-being that I've ever known in my life. As you begin to understand what begins to take place, as you reach these faster vibrational frequencies, things that we thought were outside of our capacity to even understand, let alone experience and perform on a regular basis, become known. Nyan, you begin to realize that you can indeed manage the coincidences of your life. You have the ability to say to yourself and live it with truth. Let me ask this question of this audience, and only raise your hand if it's true. How many of you do not have accidents? I just don't have accidents, and I intend not to have them. I have no accidents. I don't do accidents. Let me see, maybe 15 of the audience. There's an awareness that accidents are things that happen at 20,000 cycles per second. When I say to audiences that I don't have accidents, they often ask, what if someone is coming right at you, going the wrong way on the freeway, or blindsiding you? I say I would perceive that in advance. I would know it and move to make sure it didn't happen. If I did indeed experience something called an accident, I would remind myself that I had slipped out of this higher vibrational pattern, this higher level of consciousness, and allowed myself to drift back into ordinary human awareness. When you do, you are susceptible to accidents, arthritis, disease processes, and disharmony. You become susceptible to all the discord in your life.